Hey everyone, welcome back to Fat Cat and Skinny Cat. Tonight's plan was simple. Visit a night market, film some food, get a few nice shots, maybe pretend I'm a professional filmmaker for a couple of hours. Easy, right? Well, the moment I stepped outside, I saw rain. Not a lot of rain. Just enough rain to make you think, hey, it'll probably stop. History has proven that those 5 words are usually the beginning of a terrible decision. I looked at the sky and it looked suspicious. You know that look. The sky that says, I'm not planning anything, while clearly planning something. But I ignored every warning sign because optimism is free. So I grabbed my camera, hopped on my scooter, and headed toward the night market like a man who had never seen weather before. The ride there was actually pretty nice. The streets were shiny from the rain, the city lights reflected on the pavement, and everything looked strangely cinematic. For a few minutes, I felt like I was starring in an indie film. Unfortunately, I later realized I wasn't the main character. I was actually comic relief. As I got closer to the night market, I expected to see crowds. That's what night markets are famous for. Food, noise, people everywhere. Instead, I started noticing something unusual. There weren't many people around. At first, I thought maybe I found some secret entrance. Then I realized something much worse. The market was already losing the battle against the rain. finally arrived, vendors were already packing up. Tables were folding, plastic covers were going up, lights were turning off. It felt less like arriving at a night market and more like showing up to a concert after the band had already played the album. Technically, I was there, but I had clearly missed something important. A few brave vendors were still hanging on. These people deserve medals. The rain was falling, customers were disappearing, and somehow they were still standing there hoping somebody might buy one more sausage. That's determination. If I had that level of commitment in my life, I'd probably speak 6 languages by now. I started wandering through the market anyway. After all, I came all this way. Plus, turning around immediately would make me look like I had excellent judgment, and that simply isn't on brand for this channel. So I kept filming, hoping the weather might improve. The weather laughed at me. The rain got heavier, not dramatically, just enough to slowly ruin my evening. It's amazing how rain works. It doesn't need to attack all at once. Sometimes it just patiently waits while your shoes absorb enough water to qualify as small aquariums. As the crowd got smaller, I began noticing details I normally would have missed. The sound of rain hitting metal roofs. Vendors talking while packing equipment. Water flowing down the street. It was surprisingly peaceful. Not exactly what I came for, but honestly, kind of beautiful. Most people visit night markets to see them at their busiest. Tonight I got to see something different. The closing act. The behind-the-scenes version. It's like watching a movie after the credits roll. Everybody else has left, but the people who made everything happen are still there working. Watching the vendors pack up made me appreciate how much effort goes into running these stalls. We usually see the fun part, eating, but somebody had to wake up early, buy ingredients, transport equipment, and stand here for hours. Then the rain shows up and says, "Nice business plan." Be a shame if something happened to it. At this point, I was pretty wet. My shirt was wet. My backpack was wet. My socks were wet. Scientists may discover new forms of water, and I'm pretty sure they were all present somewhere on my body. But I kept filming because suffering builds character. At least that's what people say when they're already suffering. The market continued shrinking. Every few minutes another stall disappeared. Lights went dark one by one. It felt like watching a city slowly go to sleep. Except instead of bedtime stories, there was just rain and the sound of me questioning my life choices. For a brief moment, I thought maybe things couldn't get worse. That's another dangerous sentence. If you've ever watched a movie, you know that's exactly when things get worse. The universe heard my confidence and immediately accepted the challenge. I decided it was finally time to leave. The market was nearly empty, the rain wasn't stopping, and I had enough footage. This seemed like a reasonable conclusion to the evening. A little wet, sure, but manageable. Then my scooter entered the story. I tried starting at nothing. I tried again. Still nothing. At first, I stayed calm. Then I entered the negotiation phase. You know, where you start talking to machines as if they're emotionally available. Come on, buddy. We've been through a lot together. The scooter remained unconvinced. Eventually, reality became impossible to ignore. My scooter was done. Finished. Retired. It had chosen this exact moment to end its career. Honestly, I couldn't even be mad. The thing had been sitting in the rain as long as I had. We were both having a rough night. So there I was, standing in the rain beside a broken scooter with camera gear hanging off my shoulders. If anyone drove by and saw me, they probably assumed I was filming a documentary called Poor Decisions, a personal journey. The walk home turned out to be surprisingly peaceful. The streets were quiet, the city lights reflected off the wet roads, and everything felt calm. Sometimes when plans fall apart, you end up noticing things you would have missed otherwise. Not because you're wise, mostly because you're walking very slowly beside a broken scooter. By the end of the night, I never got the night market video I planned. Instead, I got a story. A rainy night, an empty market, a broken scooter, and a reminder that the best adventures are usually the ones nobody would willingly schedule. Thanks for coming along for the ride and the walk. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to Fat Cat and Skinny Cat. I'll see you in the next one, hopefully with better weather and a working scooter.